Hello, James here. I want to show you a couple videos on what's going on with relationship between men and women. But mostly, I have to question what's going on with the women because with these content creators, what I'm about to show you, point out some really interesting facts about relationships and marriage. So hopefully, um, we'll figure it out. See what's going on.
Switch to the Google Fi Wireless Flexible plan and only pay for the data you use. You get 4 lines with unlimited.
They like what they don't like, and now that they're doing it, instead of it being received openly, it's being rejected and it's being name called. And now you're in menopause, or you're sassy, or some other derogatory term. I don't understand, like, what. I feel bad for the men because it almost seems like the goalpost is being moved. You wanted more sensitive men, you wanted men who are more in touch with their emotions, and now that they're getting backlash for it.
I think it kind of just really boils down to some people like some things and some people don't like those things, because it seems like we got 2 or maybe 3 different types of women and men running around, where you have some of the men, they will share and they have become more emotionally present, and they're able to actually talk about these things or say what they don't like, and express that they don't like a certain type of way a woman is treating them, things that's being said to them. And then you have some women that appreciate that and take it and just be like, like I said in that other video, they take it and be like, you know what, I could be better in this, so why don't I work on myself, because it sounds like you trying to be whole, so maybe I should take this and reflect, like we say all the time, reflect, and be a little bit better. Then you also have the women, like, it seems like this sister she's saying that y'all men out there throwing hissy fits. If you're
a hissy fit?
I don't think it's a hissy fit. I mean, some might be throwing hissy fits, I don't know, but I do know a man expressing the things that I just named before. I wouldn't see that as being, overly sensitive, because it sounds like she's trying to say that men are overly sensitive. I think men have been sensitive.
Right, they just kept it bottled up.
Right, and that's when you see men explode and start doing ridiculous stuff, being overly angry and just.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna ask, does she want to go back in the days where men used to just slap their wives around? I mean, I don't know what you want.
Welcome to the Phoenix, Boston!
Just walking around, it's like, you throw a Mentos into like a bottle of a Pepsi or Coke and it explode. That's kind of like, what men were. But I was sitting here listening to this, just thinking to myself, God, dog, men just they can't be humans. You can't have a whole human experience. You can't use your words to express these things, or you're going to be called, some type of hissy fit haver. Or it's a situation to where you're not expressive enough. So you can express, but don't express too much.
Back a little bit.
You're being too much like a woman. I don't like that. But
I do think that there are, I don't want to say limits, but there's a way to go about voicing how you feel and your concerns. And that's on both sides.
Yeah.
For me, what I have seen, not specifically talking about that video, but what I have seen is women who are literally upset because this man said, hey, I didn't like when you said this to me. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you right now, our boys are being raised like that. He's 5 now. He just had a birthday. Happy birthday to our youngest. He'll come to me real quick and be like, can we talk about how I'm feeling? Because he gets upset real easily. But there's a safe place for them to come and just communicate about how they're feeling, and that's okay. And he does the same thing. I think we've said this before. We have that whole in the spirit of communication is how we start this off. In the spirit of communication, whatever it is. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a couple of things that happens when you allow your man or the man in your life to voice how they're feeling. One, it opens up the lines of communication, because you can't fix something or you can't help walk something out or work something out if you don't know what's going on. So that opens up the line of communications. But the other thing that it does, and I think that this is probably the one that a lot of women are having an issue with, is it makes you be accountable. Because if he's coming to me saying that, hey, I didn't like when you talked to me like this, or I didn't like when you did that, or I don't like this, then he's telling you something that he needs you to fix for him. And that's okay. It's okay for you to fix something for him, right? Depending on what it is. Because if you were to come to him, if I were to come to you and say, hey, I really don't like it when you talk to the girl at the grocery store like that. You kind of flirting out like that. I expect him to fix that.
Right.
He's not going to call me emotional over it. He's simply going to fix it. He deserves the same reciprocity. If he comes to me and say, hey, the way you kind of kikiing and smiling all up in that grocer's face, I ain't feeling it.
These are just examples.
Right, just examples. I'm gonna fix it. I'm not gonna do it anymore. And that's okay. It's not him throwing a hissy fit. It's simply him voicing how he feels. Imagine being a person and you being upset about something, angry about something, sad about something, or even happy about something, and just having to keep that in and just be monotone. That's not okay. Moral of the story, let these men express themselves.
But here's the thing. They said that there are groups of different women. And I've said this before, there are groups of different women. But all the women who are talking about sassy men, they are the women who are exposing themselves, who you exclude. And I'm pretty sure I saw a ring on this woman's finger. No surprise. Okay? Absolutely no surprise. What you have is the women who will clown men for being sensitive, even though, generally speaking, it's what women have been asking for. Those women are excluded. They expose themselves as not being YP material. And then you have the women who will empathize with men because they want them to be more in touch with their emotions, because they don't want them to act out in ways that we know men can act out.
Who is Jalen?
Who is Jalen? Oh, that's my homie. You say something?
Whoa. Swipe back up. My friend say he trying to holler.
That's me.
Okay, that's him. Okay.
I ain't not showing up. Why you texted 4 days ago?
Whoa, 4 days ago. What's going on?
What you doing?
What are you doing? What happened 4 days ago?
I didn't see you 4 days ago.
Oh my gosh, it's taking long to respond to what's going on.
What's up? Yeah.
What is that? Yeah, it's supposed to mean.
Nothing important.
What was it about though? You can say it.
What was it?
Just trying to see what he was doing.
Trying to see what his friend is doing? Why? Huh?
Trying to know his friend.
Why would you try to see what his friend was doing? You should see what he's doing, right?
I'm never busy.
He was busy that day.
No, I wasn't.
But look, it would have been a difference if you said what he was doing, but you said what his friend was doing. So why'd you do that?
I was bored.
Are you okay with this?
I want to bring up this debate. It's kind of random, but it's not random. A lot of the time in cheating situations, right, we see men who get cheated on be upset at the other man for sleeping with their woman. A man who they don't know, for example, a random stranger. And it never makes sense to me because, again, this is a random stranger who has no loyalties to me and cares nothing about my relationship. Now, in the ideal world, from a moral standpoint, a man wouldn't sleep with another man's wife. But we know we don't live in that ideal world. We live in the real world. So in those situations, I'd be looking at my girlfriend as someone who is supposed to respect our relationship, someone who is supposed to have loyalty to me. I'll be looking at her. But in this case, where it's your friend who is supposed to have loyalty to me and is supposed to have loyalty to my relationship or respect my relationship, I would be looking at my friend.
I just can't get you my head. For some reason I won't see you again. Do you remember how we loved?
Ever wonder why so many people say they want to learn guitar, but very few actually learn to play? It's simple.
A lot of people, shout out to you, faithful married people. You gotta put faithful in there because a lot of y'all married and not faithful, so I'm gonna put that in there. But
let me just say this. I didn't know that LA was more dangerous than Detroit.
Detroit's dangerous now? Because that's not what you said on today's Million Morning Show.
Listen to what I'm saying. Every single city in America got a hood. Every last one of them got a hood.
Hey, all of LA is a hood. Every city got a hood. All of LA is a hood.
Detroit, Baltimore, New York, Chicago, fucking Seattle, Portland. They all got hoods. I didn't know that LA's hood was more dangerous than any other hood that we just like.
There's different hoods.
LA on another level, bro.
I don't want to go no Detroit hood, no Chicago or LA hood. I've been to Houston hood, and I don't want to go to those places.
All right. Let's get back.
You think all hoods are equal?
Go ahead, Q.
I grew up with the Oklahoma hood, and nothing happened to me. With Jordan, though.
I don't know if all hoods are equal, but you heard it say Detroit got a hood. That's not what he said in the Millionaire Morning Show.
I saw the hood. That just means you extra.
That is true. You did say Detroit has definitely revamped it. You said it was great.
But that don't mean that every place don't still have a hood.
Yeah,
to do with anything.
Yeah, but do you think all hoods are different? All hoods the same? I don't think Minnesota hood the same as Houston hood.
They all got the same social factors.
Minnesota's hood.
Seattle hood? I didn't mean Minnesota. That's the wrong white state.
I guess they talk about hoods.
I don't consider myself a feminist at all. But it did get me thinking, and I did write an article that I think will come out soon about the downfall of living a selfish, me-focused life, and it does, for me, it's definitely started to feel hollow and meaningless, and, it's taken me to this point in my life to realize that that's not a life that's going to bring you happiness. And maybe it does for some people. I honestly have a hard time believing that. If I thought I would spend the rest of my life alone, if I didn't think that I would get married and have children, I would be devastated. So, I don't know. It is such a me-focused culture right now. I was constantly fed this idea that women can do everything. We don't really need men. Women can have the great career and have the kids that they like and change the tires and do this. I grew up thinking men are great, but I can do all the same things. But I do feel in many ways betrayed by that line of thinking.
A Verbo is for sharing all kinds of moments. From post-concert bliss.
In the land of you simply cannot make this ish up, we have a story of a 38-year-old divorcee writing an article telling the truth of her regret of being indoctrinated into feminism, which destroyed her traditional marriage, and then at the ripe old age of 38 years old is regretting that decision. But then in modern woman fashion, goes back and removes all accountability when she's pressured by the internet. This story is so crazy, but I think it gives us a fantastic cross-section of the Gen X, Gen Y, and some of the Gen Z representation of the modern woman today in our society. So without further ado, a woman said she felt betrayed by feminism after deciding she wanted to settle down, have a family, and a husband as she approached her 39th birthday. At one point during the interview with Fox News Digital, she broke down crying, describing she feared she would end up alone and childless. Melissa Pershing recently wrote an essay for Business Insider titled, "I'm 38 and single, and I recently realized I want a child. I'm terrified I've missed my opportunity." She said that after it went viral in November, hate began to pour in from men telling her that she's lived a very selfish life. And I agree with these men, but I don't think that it's all her fault. Let me explain in a few. But Pershing has a much different account of her story. When she was 22, she married a traditional man and moved to a rural community in Idaho, where she grew up. She says he wanted a simple life with children and home-cooked meals. But get this, despite coming from a religious Christian background, made it clear to her husband-to-be that she did not want children. So although she had it all, she recants, "At that time I felt very strongly I did not want children, that I wasn't going to be like the traditional housewife. I knew I did want to pursue a career," she told Fox News Digital in an interview, "and I felt very strongly that that would never change. And I guess that was wrong." She drank from the feminist Kool-Aid, which indoctrinates young modern women into thinking that being a housewife or raising a family is not important, and instead indoctrinates them into thinking that being strong, independent, a career-driven woman is the highest honor. And I find it so interesting because the dogma of feminism is supposed to stand up for women, but they seem to only stand up for women until the woman wants her role to be within the household. Interesting how that happens. Pershing said that both her and her ex thought that love would conquer everything. But after 10 years, it was clear their differences in their life goals were irreconcilable. Pershing said that she became resentful when he would ask for dinner or for his laundry to be done. Stories like this is why I caution so many young men today in their early 20s that are talking about marriage. Because although she came from a small town and initially saw a traditional marriage, women have a biological need to conform to the dominant narrative within a society and a culture. It's a survival mechanism based in biology. So when you have feminism, which is mainstream, being pumped into their eyes each and every day, that's how you can have them switch up later in life, irrespective of how they were raised. And who has to pay for that mistake? The men. I did little to hide my disdain for our small town life. He was a good, hard-working man, but I don't think I made him feel that way. I bet you that she's so jealous of this young woman right here.
This is why being a stay-at-home mom and wife has been the best thing that's literally ever happened to me. Okay, so I was 19 when I met my husband, so I was working, I had to go out in the world and use my life skills, I had to use my brain, like, I just didn't want to live my life like that, I really didn't. I'm a really smart girl, I can use my life skills if I wanted to, I just don't want to. So when I met my husband, I just felt like I wanted to be his housewife. I just felt like I would want to cook, I want to clean for him. It was like it was calling to me. Like when we got together, it was like, housewife mom now. Please take up a skill or a trade just in case.
She has a lot of skills.
I do. Thanks, babe. This is my skill. I change about 20 of these a day. I can change your diaper in the dark. Eyes closed. Being a mother is one of the toughest skills you could possibly have. So yeah, try again.
At the ripe old age of 30, her and the ex divorced, and she swore off the idea of marriage. I wonder who divorced who. We already know. I told my friends and family I'd never get married again. I needed independence, a fulfilling career, and space to chart my own.
Diabetes can serve up a lot of questions, like what is your glucose and can you have more carbs? Before you decide, with the Freestyle...
Divesting gone wrong. Nikki O and Christine Mann. Sex workers need to understand, marriage will not reform a John or a sex addict. How did Nikki and Chris meet? They really met on seeking arrangements, but you know how these divestors are. They always got some fake story about the old decrepit white man saving them from another man. Sounds familiar? Ami McClure said the same thing.
I was standing in the way where it says get out of the way, and I wanted to show her that I was confident in myself.
I first saw him, I remember him walking up. So I'm already being bothered by the guy who's sitting next to me. He was a truck driver, and he was asking me to.
I gave him a look. I looked at him. I just got a.
He was asking me to take him to his hotel, and I'm like, what? And then Chris.
If anybody was going to take her to.
On my left side, right? You were on my left side.
I was on your left side because the right side is my game.
He came on my left side, and I smile a lot. Anytime I'm shy, I just smile.
She seems, and so she was smiling at me, which was always a good sign. You know, anytime a girl smiles at a guy, that means that they're interested, right?
Okay, so I was smiling, and I remember noticing his shoes were tight as hell. He had on some New Balances. They were dirty. The top was flipping off.
In my A game, they were talking.
They were talking before his ass. So his shoes were dirty. His coat had stains on it, and I'm just like, what would make this guy even like have the guts to think that he can talk to me?
That's what I'm saying. If you can look like that and still have a good, strong presence to yourself, if you can wear your jacket that's a little tight.
It wasn't tight. It was actually big. He had a blue jean. But I remember jeans and a trench coat, and I was just like,
with my New Balance.
The talking New Balance. Only one of them was talking. I don't know. Your pants are really big and not fitted at all.
Yeah, no, because if you're trying to dress fancy and
your hair was kind of messy.
I don't want my clothes to do the talking. I want to do the talking. I mean, I'll let the clothes show that I just don't care.
That just shows how much he values her. He was a dirty white man, and she still smiled at him to let him know she was interested. Read between the lines. He had to disguise himself because he was there to meet her, prostitute, for a quote-unquote date. Who is Chris Thiemann? Chris Wikipedia entry, Christopher Allen Thiemann, born June 6, 1965, is a former American college football player who was a defensive lineman in the World League of American Football, LAF, and the Canadian Football League, CFL, during the early 1990s. He has also been accused of bribery, perjury, and assault. The assault charge and arrest stem from two separate incidents with an ex-girlfriend named April. The first incident occurred in September of 2013. Here is a brief summary from the Courier-Journal before April's identity had been revealed. The woman, who was not identified, and Thiemann got into an argument while she was driving, according to an arrest report from that incident. She allegedly stopped at an intersection and started walking down the street. The woman walked to her business, which was not identified, to call police. Thiemann followed her and pushed his way into the building, the report said. Thiemann pushed her, and when he tried to take her phone, he put his arm around her neck and tried to strangle her, the report said. The following year, Chris was arrested again after being charged with violating April's emergency protective order. From the Courier-Journal, Louisville businessman and former mayoral candidate Chris Thiemann is accused of violating an emergency protective order after police say he had his employees remove the doors at a gym once owned by his former girlfriend. Thiemann, 48, ordered his employees on April 30th to remove doors from a former Snap Fitness located on property he owns in the 10100 block of Dixie Highway, according to an arrest warrant. His employees placed old equipment that did not belong to the woman in the gym the next day. Police say that because the woman has a vested interest in the closed gym, Thiemann violated the order. Other white people seem not to like him. They don't vote for him and all have something negative to say about him. You know the saying, white people know white people best. And speaking about the First Amendment, O'Connell made the following remarks about Thiemann. He was convicted by a jury of his peers, a conviction which was upheld by the courts of this county. Therefore, he's obviously free to speak in the manner he wants. But my office and my prosecutors, the women in my office, will not be intimidated by the speech of Mr. Thiemann. He is a sexual predator. He was convicted of trying to strangle his then girlfriend, and the women in this community should be wary and be prepared to not come in contact with him, ever. He is a danger to this community, and to the women in this community, and each one should make sure they take every precaution they can to protect themselves from this sexual predator. There. That's my right of free speech, and my office won't be intimidated by this. And, between now and whenever, and as long as he wants to keep that up, I'll call it exactly what it is, a domestic violence perpetrator, and an abuser of women, and he strangles women, and was convicted by a jury, and upheld by the appeals court. Thank you very much. Everybody can't be lying about this Devaster's nasty husband. Listen to what April had to say about the sex addict, cuckold man with a fetish for Asian women.
He would always take care of me. We could have the perfect relationship if I would just allow him to do what he wanted to do.
What kind of things would he do?
He would want me to have sex with other people with him.
With him and other people? Mm-hmm. And did you?
Yes.
Who were some of those people?
David Toborowski.
And you didn't want to have sex with David Toborowski? No. But you did?
I was forced to.
When you say forced, I mean, how did he force you to, physically force you to?
Mm-hmm.
So you're struggling against it physically and he's making you do that?
Yes.
Anybody else? let me back up on this before I go. Where did this happen with Mr. Toporowski?
Several places.
So several times,
Yes.
he would physically force you, not mentally, but physically force you
Yes.
to have sex with David Toporowski.
Yes.
And how were you physically resisting? If you could just describe that, please.
He would hold me down, and David would force himself upon me
How many times did that happen?
many times.
Well, when you say many, is it more than 5?
Yes.
More than 10?
Probably.
And where would this happen?
At our house.
Any place else?
On trips. Hotel rooms.
Okay. So, if Mr. Anytime you want to take a break, you can take a break. Did you all take a trip about a month before this alleged assault in September of 2013?
Yes.
And where did you go?
We went to Asia.
Where in Asia?
All over. We were gone for 35 days.
Who all went on that trip?
Chris and David and I.
You have sex with David in Thailand?
No.
Or in Asia?
No, he wanted him to watch.
To watch what?
He and I have sex.
And did you allow that to happen?
I did not stop it. I was not comfortable with it, but I did nothing to stop it.
Did you have sex with anybody else in Thailand?
No.
Or in Asia?
No.
Any sex with prostitutes, anything like that?
No.
Did Chris have sex with you?
I don't know. I remember waking up one day in a hotel room in a bed, and there were 2 women on the bed on top of me. I was asleep. I was out of it. We had been drinking that night. I went back to the hotel room. I went to bed, and when I woke up, Chris is on top of me with 2 other women, and I was screaming, and I asked him to get them out of our room. Please get them out.
And you did not want to engage in it?
No.
Welcome to Fantasy Thailand. We're here in Thailand, the land of smiles. There you go, let's go, baby. I'm Chris Lehman, a businessman from Kentucky. I've played some pro football and I've dabbled in politics. But now it's time for a new endeavor. Fantasy Thailand. It's a business that I've set up to where people from all over the world can come and get their fantasies fulfilled. Lots of people have written us, asking for help in fulfilling their fantasies. And only a few can be chosen to be brought here. It's more than just the adventure here. Who likes these? It's about making significant changes in people's lives. Or you will get your money back. I needed the best team that I could find, but they were all busy. Luckily, I found some cheap-ass friends, and my family stepped in and helped.
Doesn't Nikki look like Terrell Owens? The Divester married a frog, predator, and a sex addict who likes to frequent Asian prostitutes. It makes you wonder why he couldn't marry an Asian woman. Perhaps it's because the only woman available to him was a black woman who looks like Terrell Owens. How dreadful. Divesting gone super wrong.
Oh my goodness. Like Terrell Owens. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with some of these women, man. And you know, shout out to the late David Carroll, but he was right. When it comes to some black women, they literally worship a white man. Ooh, Lord have mercy. I mean, they ain't no way in the world. If that was a black man, she wouldn't give it a second thought about taking some dude that was, like he was mentioned earlier. But he was spot on with that. Oh my goodness. I mean, of all the men, you know, I mean, it shouldn't matter with ethnic background, but you pick a man. Jesus. Don't do any background check on this man. I mean, it's just like he was saying. But all that blonde hair, blue eye, brown hair cover all that up, brothers. That covers it all up. That covers it all up. It don't matter what they do. And he was a predator, and he assaulted his ex-wife, and she had to pick up the leftovers. Yep. Than the woman he's with now. And he goes over to another country, and now this Passport Joe, not Passport Bro, he's a Passport Joe, go and bring men to their fantasies. This Passport Bro ain't doing that. And what else can I say about this? I'll give another 5 minutes. You know, I guess the lesson life is learned when mainly people are not connecting here in the Western world like America is because women don't know how to love. There are a certain type of women that don't know how to love a man. They lust a man, but they don't love a man. And what the problem with men, they meet the men that want to love them, and they don't appreciate what they have. They do not appreciate the man. And so they'll go chasing for a man that don't know how to love, but he expect them to turn around and trying to challenge him to get him to love them. And that's the game. And what frustrates the good men is that when the good man wants these women, they turn around and wants to jerk like his last character. Yeah, that's what it is. And it gets, but when men who have the resources from no matter what generation, Gen X to start getting their resources up where they can make 40, 50, 60 grand online, then women are going to start thinking, why they sit back here thinking that they looking for the $500,000 man, the $300,000 man, and good luck with that. Put up with the attitude, put up with I'm not going to cook you anything, I'm not going to be subservient to you, I'm not going to be that housewife. And meanwhile, the women in other countries who do it out of love, not out of servitude, not out of, you stay, be barefoot and pregnant. It ain't about that. And and here's the funny part about it. A lot of those women that they mock and make fun of, there's some women in Thailand, the Philippines are very educated. And there's some that know how to cook. There's women in the Philippines and in Thailand and in other places, in Colombia and different places, that know how to cook. And they stuck with their mothers, grandmothers have always taught them. Even though when they go out there to work, even the ones that go out there to work and hold down a job, a single mother, they don't complain. They suck it up. But Western women, they run to the internet, run to TikTok, and whine and complain. And what does it tell the women is like, well, that's just something that women all over the world do. What are you complaining about? Because there's some women overseas. It could be in Mexico, Colombia, or Costa Rica, or somewhere, or Philippines, Thailand, Europe, some parts of Asia, Middle Eastern, that prize a single mom raising their kids. And it's tough. And she go out there and cook and prepare and do what she gotta do to make it, but she don't complain about it. And like I heard this one brother was saying that they don't have a system like we have over here. They don't have Section 8. There ain't no one helping them out. They got to fend for themselves. But yet, and they really want a man to help. Now, here what the women in the West don't understand. They getting the men that you rejected with good character. They getting the men you rejected because they wasn't a certain criteria to you. So you can't blame that on the men. And you can get mad and make a lot of videos, but it comes back to the woman. It's two people that make a relationship. And the first thing you need to do is figure out how to love a man. And maybe you need to learn from these women instead of insulting these women. And you had somebody in your family that knew how to love their husband. You had women in your own family that's in a loving relationship with their husband. They probably get on each other's nerves, have problems like anybody, but she loves him. He loves her. See, that's what the whole problem is about. And you have women whining, complaining, bitching and moaning. They want this, but they don't want to put in a sacrifice. It's like I said in the previous video. What makes you better than your great-grandma, your great-grandma? She had to do the same thing. She had to work around the house. She had to raise your mother at the time. She had to probably raise about, this woman had to raise 8, 9, 10 kids. Go out there and farm the land and everything. What makes you so different? Some women had to have kids, then go back, not too long, go back out there in the field. What makes you so different? What makes you different in those women of the past time? See, the problem is that they're spoiled. This generation of women are spoiled. They're very spoiled. They're very entitled. And now, as you push good men away, you're going to be chasing after the same men that's just going to just be with you for sex. Why? Because you put it in the atmosphere. Why? You draw what you think. And basically, if you don't know how to love, it ain't going to work out. Or you might have made up your mind and just say, I want to stay single for the rest of my life. And that's probably what's going to happen because you said those very same words. And so it comes to pass. And while you, at some point, and like the one gentleman said, everybody desires companionship. I mean, there's only so many times you can hang out with your girlfriend or your sister, or your children, but they're going to go about their business and on their lives. But at the end of the day, when you have someone out there to keep you company, and even though a man with billions of dollars in the bank and a successful career, that's what he really want. He wants someone to accept him and love him. It ain't so hard. He'll give you everything if you know how to love him. Now, are there some men that have money that don't know how to love? Yeah. Are there some immature men out there? Yeah. Whether they have a little to none or mostly all. But it is what it is. So you should be blessed that if you have a good man come your way, because and he has his stuff together, halfway together. Stop complaining. Stop. Go by too bad someone who can't go by the character instead of all these other attributes, because the character what makes up the man. And the reason why I'm sorry I meant about because when it came to our community of women, they had to point that out about there ain't no good black men, but and you see them online ragging, dogging. Black men are dusty. Black men is and black men are that. And now you see a woman towards the end pick up a man that was dusty, had bad character. He was professional, but his character was flawed. But she willing to take it. She willing to stand by him. And the other female, she really be a husband, everything. Be a wife and everything to her husband, who is Caucasian. But what about that? I wonder, if she'd have been a mature black man, would it have been the same way? She was ready to have a wife? Probably not. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this video. But yeah, some women don't appreciate men. They don't appreciate. And you constantly seeing TikTok videos and Instagram videos, and women come and they come on, different content creators like these guys kind of record it. It's because they don't. The reason why they complain because they don't know how to love a man. It's not that because of their beauty, not because of their education. They lack character. And that's what kills it. It's their character. That's all it comes down to, is your character. Or it's not that you can't attract the man because with your 3 B's, your butt, your beauty, your butt, your breast, and your beauty, you just ain't got the character. So that's why those men are leaving. And they need to stop wanting to accept. If anything, stop insulting those women overseas. Maybe you can learn how to be a better woman. And if you don't know how to be a white woman, and a big opponent, you need to ask the Most High God. He'll show you how to be a better woman. And you listen to him. That's the best advice ever. He'll bring someone to give you the best advice. Other than that, you're going to be alone. Because your very words, your actions show it. So, and the same thing can go, if a man will speak like that, it can go the same way on him. And after a while, whether you're a man or a woman, everyone desires to be with somebody. Okay then, you guys are blessed. See you on this video. Until next time, take care. And ladies, if you're a woman watching this, if you're single, change your persona. If you're married, have a boyfriend, appreciate that man. If you don't, somebody will. Take care.